So recently I was playing a show in a luxury venue, and a man came over and said something to me that I've heard so many times before. Only this time it hit differently, and it kind of made me realise something that I hadn't realised before. He came over and said, you know, not only how did you get to this place, but he also said, I wish I had done something like this. I wish I'd gone in that direction instead of doing what he had done. And again, I hear this all the time. I'm sure lots of us artists and performers and musicians do, because it looks glamorous and fun, and it is. The thing that I realised though is that, you know, there isn't anything inherently good or bad about which direction you take your life. It's just where you take your life. But I think the clarity comes from realising that whatever you're doing has an accumulative effect. And what you're doing on the daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, decadely is going to compound and accumulate and show that result of where you've been optimizing your habits, your decisions on the day-to-day. And I think a lot of people, well, we all optimize for different things, depending on where we want the journey to take us and where we want to end up as a destination. Not that there ever is a destination really, but maybe some pillars, some markers along the way. So I've very much wanted to optimize from a young age for my sort of internal creativity and that freedom that it affords me, and that self-expression, and traveling with it and being free to do that, and literally decide almost on the day-to-day like how I want to use that day. Obviously you can't do that every day, but I've got really close to that, and it's been great. And obviously there are compromises that come with that. So that was my chosen thing to optimize for. Other people might have optimized for, I don't know, having a family, let's say, and they'll learn a completely different skill set, nurturing and family values and things, or maybe building a business, where they'll learn wisdom and strategy and that kind of business intuition. Travel or experiences, you might want to optimize for that, and you'll learn all sorts of things that you can only learn through traveling and having those worldly experiences. But I think, again, there's no right or wrong, and it's about considering what you want to optimize for and what you're willing to compromise in order to have that experience in your life of how you want it to optimize. So I have accumulated daily in the direction of having this creative, sort of entrepreneurial, traveling, free feeling, businessy as well, lifestyle, which I love, and it has accumulated in that direction. But again, that is the distinction. What do you want your journey to feel like, and where do you want those milestone destination pillars to be? What do you want them to feel like? What do you want to accumulate? What do you want your life to be accumulating? as you go along through your life. And that is the distinction, rather than, oh, I wish I'd done what they did, I wish I hadn't done what I did. Rather than like looking at it that way, or if you do look at it that way and realise, I don't want to be doing these things, I don't want my pillars to be these things, then consider what you're accumulating, what your day-to-day habits are creating. It's an important distinction to make. And this guy asking me this question, how did I do it? And I wish I'd done more of that. It really, even though I've heard so many people say that, it really made me realise, just for once I just saw it differently and like realised it's what you're accumulating. It's just what you're doing on the micro, on the daily. Yeah, it's not a big lucky break or anything like that. It's just, where are you putting your energy? Where are you focusing yourself? And again, there are compromises to this. Every path has its compromises. I've had to compromise loads of things in order to be able to do what I love doing. And this next part, I've really hit a milestone recently, and this next part of the journey, again, I'm thinking about the accumulative effect of where I want the next 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years to go. And it may change in 5 or 10 years, but right now I can plot that forward and see where I want it to go. And it's exciting actually, because I've really ticked off a lot of the bucket list things that I knew were meant for me, and that therefore I had to focus on and I had to pursue and I had to accumulate in that direction in order for me to feel satisfied that I had ticked them off, those things. You should never be completely satisfied with things, because we've always got more we can do and always more areas we can grow in, right? But you can be satisfied with ticking off boxes, having those pillars, those milestones of, oh, I'm happy that I've done that one. I'm satisfied that I've done that one and that one and that one. And it's a great feeling, especially when you're still a fairly young-ish person. You're not waiting and waiting. That's another thing. Yeah, it might feel or seem risky sometimes, but again, it's a decision that you have to make as to whether you want to do that, take that risk. What's more important, the security and the apparent security and safety and everything of this, the way things might be presented to you in this sort of system, or what you really feel is aligned with you and your purpose and your passion and why you're here. Not to get into the idea that you should follow your passion necessarily, because that's not necessarily what you should do. But if you're passionate about something, that is certainly, at the very least, an indication of something you should at least be looking into seriously. And if you can see a way that you'd be happy doing it seriously, as a career, as a business, then great. I think it's very nuanced to that. So just to round up, it's accumulation. It's what you're doing to accumulate in the direction that you want to go. And I would say to you, if you're not sure about where you're going, or you're not happy with where you're going, then consider what you're accumulating and look at that, where you want those milestones to be, and ultimately that sort of destination really, and how you want your journey to look. I know that my next 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years is quite exciting, the way I've been plotting it out now. Because I've really got a big part of it ticked off, and now it's time to accumulate in a new direction. So that's all I've got for you right now, and I'll leave you with the motto again: get clear and get going, and I'll see you next time.